Hello and welcome to the Internet Advertising Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Gawk. Today I'd like to talk about Google Display Ads. There are some things that are in common with Google Search Ads, so if you want, you can listen to a previous episode about that and then come back here. Display ads are ads that are shown on the display network, on YouTube, and in mobile apps. The last two are pretty self-evident, but the display network are content pages that show Google Ads. If you have a website, you can apply to Google. The program is called Google AdSense, and you can show their ads and get a percentage of the profits. Some of the pages are very high quality, and the ads perform very well, so it's worth trying displaying ads there. YouTube and mobile apps, those can vary in quality. The first step of creating a display campaign is similar to creating a search ad. First, you select your goal, and then you select the campaign type. We want to select display. The next step is choosing a campaign subtype. You can choose a standard display campaign, a smart display campaign, or a Gmail campaign. A smart display campaign will optimize everything for you. You enter some headlines, some text, it will create ads automatically and choose the targeting automatically. You can try that later, but I want to explain manual targeting first so you know how everything works. And then, of course, if you want, you can also create a campaign that will do everything for you. Gmail ads are a special type of ad that appears, as the name implies, in Gmail when users read their email. When a user clicks on an ad, it either sends them directly to the advertiser's website, or it expands and looks something like an email that can be saved in an inbox or even forwarded if it's a very compelling ad. After you create the campaign, you can choose some basic options that will be familiar to you if you've created a search campaign before. You can choose the locations where the ads show. You can choose the language of the people that should see the campaign, the ads. You can choose bidding, and you can choose the daily budget. Now, to quickly sum up the locations, there's one catch here. You can choose location options, and you can choose if you want it to show to people that are interested in the location and are also in your targeted location. Now, this makes sense if you, say, have a hotel in a certain city or maybe a beauty salon, and you want to show it to people that are actually in your city and are looking for beauty salons, or maybe people that are planning to travel to your city and enter the city name plus beauty salon, but they're actually somewhere else. But there might be some situations where you want to only show it in a certain location. For example, if you have an online website that only works for citizens of a certain country. So you want to show it in the United States, and you don't want to show your ads to people that are outside of the United States, but searching for the same service, even adding US, United States, USA to the search terms, because they just won't be able to use your service. So then you would choose, in location options, people in your targeted locations. The same applies to exclusions. You can choose to not show people to people in a certain location. So, for example, you want to show the whole United States except a certain state. And you can also choose how the exclusion works, same way as the targeting. As for bidding, when you're creating display campaign, you'll have manual cost per click. You can have CPM, which is cost per 1,000 views of your ad. If you have conversion tracking turned on, that means you have Google code on your thank you page after someone fills out an email form or buys something. Then you can have target CPA, which works pretty well. Google takes a while to gather data, what type of visitors convert, and then tries to show ads only to that type of visitor. It can also expand your targeting later automatically to show to more people than you actually targeted. So it's very good to have conversion tracking. I'll try to do a separate episode about that later. When setting the budget, remember that this is the average daily budget. Same thing I said when talking about search ads. The budget can be exceeded. Google tries to make the average of the month this amount per day. But if you have ads running on a busy day, say on a Monday, you'll probably exceed it. You can have twice as much spent than you actually set. When you have the settings of the campaign, Google wants you to create your first ad group. When you create that, you can choose the targeting. There are a lot of options here, so let's go through them one by one. I'd like to start with what I call the legacy options, which are keywords, topics, and placements. Keywords are words related to your product. Google will show your ads on websites, videos, and apps that are related to the keywords. With topics, you can choose a broader topic, not just one keyword, but a topic, and Google selects the websites, the apps that are related to that topic automatically from all the data it has. Placements are specific websites or apps where you want your ads to show. So if you have a certain website that you know has users that you like, that you want for your website, for your product, you can, and the website shows Google ads, you can enter that, and if your bid is high enough and your click-through rate is high enough for your ads to show, they will show on that website. So you can basically buy ads on specific properties. Now that takes a lot of work, but if you choose those sites well and they have some traffic, they tend to perform very well. Before I go on, let me take a minute to talk about our sponsor today. Do you run an email newsletter for your business? It can really help you grow, catch lost sales, and make you more profitable. Try out the free Get Response list building program. It's an email marketing course that covers everything you need to know to grow your list by up to 10,000 subscribers in as little as 90 days. Go to internetadvertisingpodcast.com/getresponse to find out more about the free course. I've been using them since 2010, so that's 9 years, and I'm very happy with their service. They have excellent deliverability, and they work hard to help sort out any problems with email providers that might want to mark your emails as spam. They also have very advanced marketing automation solutions and offer A/B testing, email analytics, and more. If you have a larger list, you can opt for Get Response Enterprise. Then your service gets hosted on 2 separate IPs and can handle sending up to 1 million emails in 24 hours. So go to internetadvertisingpodcast.com/getresponse and find out about the free list building course, as well as about what else GetResponse has to offer. The next targeting options are audiences. This is the newer type that Google uses and wants you to use. It uses machine learning and combs through all the data they have to select audiences that will fit your ads. Of course, you can select what types of audiences you like. There are 2 types. There's affinity audience and an in-market audience. This is confusing sometimes, so I'd like to explain how that works. Affinity audience is an audience that is interested in a topic long term. They might like cars. They're interested in car blogs, in car videos, and throughout the years, they just visit car pages all the time. So that would be an affinity audience. Now, an in-market audience for cars would be somebody that's actively researching buying a car. They might not normally visit car pages, watch car videos. They're not interested in that. But at this moment, they're looking for a car. So they visit pages, they compare prices, and Google decides that they want to buy a car. Now, this person is actually valuable for somebody that wants to sell them a car. So you have to decide, would you rather show it to affinity audiences? There will probably be more people in affinity audiences. Or if you want to show that to people that are buying a specific product that you're selling right now and are more likely to click buy. I think you should try separate ad groups for both type of audiences and see which one converts better, where you get the clicks. There might be products where if somebody's comparing buying, they might not actually buy your product, but it's not something that they really need. For example, some home decor product. But if they show it to people interested in home decor, they might think that they like it and click buy. In both these types of audiences, you also have a custom option. So you have a custom affinity and a custom intent audience that you can select. This is also interesting because you can create your own audience. So you enter keywords, you enter URLs of websites that people might have visited, and Google creates an audience of those people. So you can actually target your competition also because you enter URLs of websites that compete with yours, and you should get people that visit those websites once in a while. Well, the custom intent audience, Google actually says that this is the new version of keyword targeting. So the first thing I talked about, keywords, and you show your ads to people interested in those keywords or on websites related to those keywords. You can now create a custom intent audience. You enter the keywords, also the URLs of websites that are relevant to your customer, and Google creates an audience of that type of people. The last type of audience is remarketing and similar audiences. Remarketing is if you have a special code on your website and Google just remembers all the people that visited, and then you can show your ads again to those people. And a similar audience is Google creating a list of people that have similar traits to the people that are in your remarketing list. Now, just be aware that not all sectors can use remarketing. So if you're in a sensitive sector, for example, finance, bad debt, bad credit history, you can't use remarketing because Google feels that people will be creeped out that ads show that know that a person has bad credit history and they might not like that experience. So just look at the terms, look at some Google help pages to see if you can use remarketing, because otherwise if somebody checks, they'll just ban your remarketing lists. It's just not worth the hassle. The next step in targeting is demographics. You can choose to show your ads only to women or men, or to certain age groups, or to people with a certain parental status. There's always a category called unknown. About half the people are going to be in this category. So you have to decide if you'd rather only show to women or if you'd rather show to women and people that might be women, might be men. Depends on your product. You can try this out. There's also a part that says household income. This is similar to Facebook ads. Google takes the zip code. So it might take the zip code where people in the top 10% of household income live. So it's not exactly, Google doesn't know how much people make. There's one more option called targeting expansion. Google can automatically expand your audience, add some targeting automatically. That will be people that react well to your ad. This will work best if you have conversion tracking turned on. So if Google sees their leads or sales from a certain audience, it will try to show the similar audiences automatically and expand that every week, slowly to make everything grow and for you to make more sales or get more leads. When you have a campaign that's set up, you can use an interesting option in audiences or in topics or in placements. That's selecting if a certain targeting is targeting or if it's observation. So let's say you have some ads that are showing to certain topics. It's performing well, but you'd like to optimize it. And you'd like to see if certain audiences selected by Google perform better than other groups. You can choose the observation option, add some audiences, let's say add some in-market audiences, a couple of different sectors, and choose observation. This doesn't narrow the targeting. Your ads show just like they did before, but you have more data. You can see how many clicks, how many conversions there were from certain groups. So you don't have to create lots and lots of ad groups for different audiences to see how they convert. You can have one group if you're starting out, and then observe what audiences perform well. And it might be that there isn't a difference, that they all perform more or less the same, but there might be some clear winner, and then you can take that winner and then create an ad group that specifically targets the audience. Then you won't choose observation, you'll choose the targeting method. Let's talk about exclusions. Once you have your ads running, they will definitely show on some sites or in some apps that don't perform well. If you have some data, like I said, it's best if you have conversion tracking turned on, then you'll see that there are certain websites that get a lot of clicks, eat up a lot of your budget, but don't actually produce any sales or leads. This is especially true with apps. It used to be that I just, at first, just turned off all apps, but you can't do that anymore. Now, since ads show up in apps a lot in places that actually get accidental clicks, you have to monitor that well. Once you get a report after a certain time, when the campaign runs, you'll see that there are apps that get a lot of clicks and that aren't making you any money. You can go into exclusions and exclude those apps. Or you might exclude some YouTube videos, or you might exclude youtube.com as a whole. So just make sure you monitor that and don't get discouraged if a display campaign doesn't perform at all, because it might be that there are a couple of websites that actually are doing very well, and there's a couple of popular apps where you're getting clicks by accident or clicks from, kids, and you're just losing money on that. If you exclude that, the campaign suddenly becomes a winner. For your ads to show, you also need to create the ads themselves. You have two options here. You can upload display ads. These are just normal banners with standard sizes. But I think everybody knows that banner blindness is real. Most people don't notice them. So a better option is creating responsive text ads. You have a couple of options here. You enter a lot of headlines, up to 5 of them. You create a long headline. You create descriptions, up to 5 of them. You can enter your business name. You can enter some images and logos. And of course, the URL the ad leads to. And then Google just mashes everything up together, shows less headlines, shorter ones, or just the headline with no description, depending on the place where the ad shows. So if it's a mobile ad with very little space, it'll just show the headline, maybe an image. Or if it's a bigger ad, it'll show more. If it's on YouTube, it'll be different. If it's on Gmail, it will try to create an ad also. And it sees which combinations perform best and shows them. It takes a little time to gather that data. I've found that sometimes ads without images might perform even better. So if there are some websites with a lot of content, there's a text ad over that, it gets higher click-through rates than if people see that it's definitely an ad because it has an image. But you can't create a responsive text ad without an image because you have to add an image. But what you can do is you can have a classic text ad running on the display network. It used to be that you could create them yourselves, but now you can't do that, but you can copy one from a search campaign. So if you have a search campaign, you create a normal text ad without images, and then you can select that, choose copy, and then go to your display campaign and paste it in there. You can then edit it, change some markers so you know that the traffic's coming from there, whatever you want. But that standard content ad is without images is created in the display campaign. And you can see sometimes it performs the same, sometimes worse than a responsive ad. But I've also found that sometimes it performs best. It used to be that you could use that normally on the display network. Now you have to use this slight hack, but you can try it out. I think I've covered the basics of targeting display ads. There's some other options like the ad schedule, so you can show it on certain days and certain hours. You can show only on certain devices like mobile devices if you want that. I think that's pretty self-evident. Create a display campaign. Try to have conversion tracking. If you get a little data, let Google optimize it for you. Extend your audience. It works pretty well. Just make sure you have good creatives where people click, because on display network, you get a lot of impressions, but it's easy to have ads that just get very few clicks. So don't be surprised if you have 0.5% click-through rate. That's actually pretty good sometimes. This isn't search where you have to get a couple of percent. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for listening to the Internet Advertising Podcast. Visit us at internetadvertisingpodcast.com. And if you want to hear more, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen, in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, or your podcast client of choice.